Today we're going to look at how to fit a guitar neck onto a guitar body. We're going to look at drilling the 3 holes for the screws here, and we're also going to drill corresponding holes here in the back of the neck, and we're going to see how to line those up and how to make sure that that neck is right down the center line of your guitar. And then we're also going to look at how to place the bridge onto the body. Make sure it's at the right scale length, and then it's also that it's centered. And we're also going to look at how to drill the 4 holes that I need here for the ferrules to come in through the back, so you can have the strings coming through the back as well as from the top. This is already a top loading bridge. You don't have to change anything there. So the first thing we want to do is to look at the tools here that we need today. This is a template that I made a little while ago. This simply fits into the guitar neck pocket quite tightly. And I've got holes here for where I want these screws to go. These 2 were for the bigger neck joints that I used to make, but now I've kind of cut them down. I've just used these 2 same holes and added a 3rd one. So it's a nice triangle here. It's strong, and I'm quite happy with the results that I get with this. So what I've done is I've already installed it, and I've centered it as well with the use of this acrylic jig here. We'll go over that later. And then so all I do is I take my 3mm drill and I'll pop it down there, and I'll hit it with the hammer here to mark where the drill holes are. There's 3 of them there. And then I just go over those holes again with an awl to deepen them. And that already has been done. So the next step is going to be to drill these 3 holes out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drill them out with a 3mm bit, a 3mm brad lipped bit. Sorry, that'll go all the way through, or sorry, most of the way through. And then once the spur of the bit is starting to peek out the other side, I'll switch over to the 7/16 bit here, Forstner bit, sorry, 7/16 Forstner bit. And I can join those little spurs together and have them sized perfectly for these screws and countersunk washers. These are number 10 stainless steel screws, 1.5 inch, and these are number 10 countersunk washers from Lee Valley. And that's what I use to hold the neck and the body together. So that's the main part for now. So let's go over to the drill press and we'll have a look at that there. One important thing to do is to remember is that you always want to have a sort of a carousel or like a cradle for your body. As soon as you start finishing it, you want to really minimize the dings and everything. Same thing goes for the neck. Although the neck is a little bit sturdier, you really want to keep it on something. I find cardboard works just fine for my needs, but your needs may vary. Some people might want to use like some foam or something else. So I have this set up in my drill press now. I've got this 3mm bit here. Like I said, I'm going to follow the 3 drill holes here. And one thing I want to do is I don't want to go all the way out the back. What I want to do is I want to go most of the way down. So first thing I'll do is test with my drill press to see how far down I can go before I start kind of peeking out the side. And I just listen for the sound of the cardboard kind of breaking. There we go, I just heard it there. And I know that I have to go to line 1 plus about 2. I'll probably bring it up to here first and then test and bring it down slowly to see where it's starting to peek out. So I'll go ahead and knock those out. All right, so I've drilled out the 3mm holes here in the neck cavity, and I've drilled them up to the point where there's just a tiny microscopic dot. I guess you can't even see that, but there's a little dot here, one there, one there, and one there, of where the spur broke through to the other side, but not the bit itself. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck up this 7/16 Forstner bit This is a new one. It's from Lee Valley, so it's nice and sharp and it's very precise. And I'll be fitting these countersunk washers. These need a 7/16 outer and through 4 mil deep, but I just kind of gauge that by feeling. The alder does compress a little bit when you tighten the neck, so it doesn't have to be very deep. It can be a little bit proud, and you know that once you put the neck on, it should bring everything down a little bit. But I think that all of these should be pretty even, so that they all look kind of the same. So to do this, you want to flip your guitar around, get your 7/16 in, get your countersunk washer ready here. And another thing you can do if you want to is you can grab a little shim to get into the neck pocket here, just to give it a little extra support as you're drilling. So yeah, I'll go ahead and drill this, and I'll test for fit as I'm going along, and I'm going to creep up to the depth that I want. And I'm also going to make sure I watch what the depth is. All right, so now we're off the drill press, and it's time to transfer those marking holes from the bottom of the neck joint to the back of the guitar neck itself. And to do that, I've got a couple tools that I got to set up first, and I got to jig up the neck and the body as well. So the first thing I need is a long reach clamp with some cork on the backside of the connector, so it's not marring anything. And the second thing is this little jig that I made. You can make it out of wood, but acrylic looks really nice because it's easy to see through it. You'll notice there's 2 center lines scribed on either piece of the main registration points here. And then there's just a simple 3-point joints here. These are adjustable so they can be tightened or loosened as needed. And then this one's permanent, so it's pretty tight. All I'm doing here is I'm looking for the distance between center line and the edge of my control of my pickup plate here, pickup cavity. And the same thing on this side. It's hard to do it with one hand, but I can see that it's pretty damn close. And if it was out, I would just use my rubber hammer here to bring it to the left if it was too far on the right here, or vice versa. And then I can also tap the body, the neck, to make sure it's seated well and flush in the bottom of the neck cavity here. And what I'm going to do for the next operation is I'm going to transfer these 3mm holes here through to the neck. The clamp's going to keep everything in place, and all I'll be doing is using my same 3mm bit that's it's the same one. I'm going to use that one to use it as a transfer punch, essentially, to begin marking the neck. And to do that, I'll just use my hammer here to bring it out in, and then usually they get a little stuck because the holes are a little tight, spring back with the wood. So pliers are necessary to pull everything out. I only do 2 at a time. I used to do 3, but only do 2 now, so I can keep that I'm sure I'm going to keep that center line, that neck well centered. So yeah, we'll see you on the other side. All right, we're back at the drill press. So I've got my 2 marks there that I've transferred from the neck cavity, and I'm gonna drill out a 3mm hole for these 2. The only thing I need here is just something to gauge the depth, and this plastic vernier caliper works pretty well. My necks are 19mm thick at the neck joint, so I generally go down 17, 16, something like that. And the way I hold this square after it's already been rounded over here is I just use these wooden clamps that are square to the sides, table square. So if I hold it down here, I know it's going to be square. So yeah, I'm going to drill out those 2 holes, and then we'll get the other hole ready, the other neck hole here. All right, there we go. We have 2 of the holes now, all ready for the screws and the countersunk washers. One thing I forgot to mention is that the first thing I do in the neck is I put the 3mm bit in, And then I'll follow that with a little bit bigger. So this is 3.2 or 3.3. I think it's nice to have a little extra insurance just to make sure it doesn't split or anything. And then one thing I forgot to mention is this 3mm hole here becomes a 5mm hole later on, so that the screws have a little room to move around in the alder, but they're tight on the maple, so they're pulling everything against each other. So here I'm just going to transfer this last one. I've centered the neck and I have it seated well where I like it. These are tight but not super tight. And all I'm going to do here is just tap this one in, listen for the sound change. And once that sound has changed, I know I can pull it out, and I do have a mark on the back there. All right, so I've got all 3 neck screws and countersunk washers installed, so that neck is shouldn't be moving for a little while now. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to center, and I'm going to get the right distance for this bridge, and then we're going to look at drilling the ferrule holes as well. So I've got my acrylic jig here as again here to find my center line. I noticed that my neck was off by, an 1/8 of a degree or something like that. So I'm not looking for, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference the neck. I'm going to center the bridge in reference to the neck and not to the center line of the body, because that might be off, or it is off a little bit, but that doesn't matter to me too much. I want this to be in line with the nut here, essentially. That's more important for the playability of the instrument. The scale length that I use is 574 millimeters. So I've got this long ruler here with the 0 line in line with the start of the nut there. And then 574 millimeters away, I've got the leading edge of this saddle here at 574 or thereabouts. My saddles always go a bit to the left in the end, so I like to have a bit of play in that area. And also what I'm doing for centering is I'm just kind of visualizing. So I'm just like visually eyeballing this hole with the edge of this plate, and then this hole here with the edge of this plate. So if they have about the same distance, I'm happy with that. So once that's good, I'm just going to grab my awl, transfer these 4 lines, these 4 dots, mark them down, and then I'll drill them out with my little hand drill. Another thing I should mention too is that these saddles should be at sort of your happy minimum. So for me, it's when the threads just start pointing, through this hole in here. That's as far right as I want these saddles. If they go that way a little bit, it's okay. It's still workable, but that way I know the thread's fully engaged. And most of the time I have to go to your left in order to get the right intonation. So yeah, I'll do all that and we'll come see you on the other side. All right, so the neck is now fitted to the body, and the bridge is also centered. It's at the right distance, which means it's in the right place. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drill out these 4 holes for the strings to go through. And then we're also going to turn it around and we're going to place the holes for the ferrules. So what I found is that this drill bit, I never let it go anywhere. This drill bit is just a little bit bigger than these drill holes. So it's self-centering, and I get a nice, very predictable hole pattern here. And later on, I'll invert this drill bit and put it in this jig here, and then that'll help me center when I'm doing the ferrule holes. It'll all be more clear in a second here. All right, now it's time to do the last part here. So what we're going to do is we're going to drill out the ferrule holes. We're going to drill out the ferrule holes by following these 4 string holes. So the 4 holes that we see here, the bigger ones, we're going to duplicate them on the back here. And the way we're going to do that is with this fancy jig here. So what I've done is I've got a base here, and there's a piece of dowel that's the same diameter as the center cutout or hole in this table for the drill press. I've taken the same drill bit that I've used to drill out the holes for the strings to come through. And I've also gone ahead and drilled through a lot of the dowel. So this is in here quite well. Next, I have a 8mm brad point drill bit here, which is just a mite under the size of the ferrule that I'm going to throw into these guitars. But that's good because it'll, if it's the hole's a little bit under, it means it'll compress into the wood and it'll be a little bit more snug. And essentially the way that this works is I'll, first of all, I want to center and I want to get the right depth on this piece. So what I just do is I make sure that the bottom travel, when I'm all the way down on the drill press here, I'm just touching the center of that drill bit there and that drill bit and the post as well. So when all those three are centered, I'm in a good place. And when this is all the way down as well, I know I'm not gonna go through and hurt the drill bit. So the way this works is I want to get the body in here, make sure not to hurt anything, peek underneath, and then line up one of the holes here. Let's do this one. Bring it down. So now the hole for the center, the dowel, the drill bit, and the guitar, and this drill bit here are all in line. And I know I can go all the way down. Now the only thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm always lining up. Essentially, for me, it's my belly button to these 3 holes here to the back post. If I keep that in line, I know that I'll always have the same offset for the drill, and so those holes will be just in line. Let's see if we can do this. This thing's kind of shifting on me. So there we go. That's a good line. And then we're going to go almost all the way down. Here I feel I've gone through to the other side. And then this is just extra. That's good. So here what you want to do is you want to turn the drill off, raise the body of the guitar into this drill bit, then underneath that drill bit is always kind of there. So it's stuck in those 4 holes that you've made. So you want to reach in and pull it out and then gingerly rearrange everything again so it's ready for the next hole. So yeah, I just done the 4 holes for the Ferrules. I thought I'd show you this really quickly here. So that's the drill bit that I just had, and that's the bigger drill. So the drill bit that I used for the top of the holes for the strings that are in the top side of the body. And then these are drilling out the ferrule holes. And as long as I keep the guitar oriented in the same way, the lines will come up quite nice, which they did. Here's the guitar that's ready for sort of some finish, some more clear coats now. So we've got the 3 holes here for the neck joint. We have the 3 top loading, or 3 holes for the strings on the top. And on the back, we have the 4 holes here, which are really nicely lined up because they followed the, essentially they followed this pattern here. So yeah, there you go. This guitar is ready for one last kind of sanding and then some clear coating, and then it'll come together hopefully quite nicely and quite soon.